Today's Ask Me Anything goes out to Colin, who says, is growling always a sign of aggression? My dog will often growl while playing tug or wanting to initiate play in a puppy pose. So you answered your question there when you said in a puppy pose. So right now, Goofy and Dwayne are here. Dwayne is lying down next to me and Goofy's sitting in front of him. Dwayne is on his back. Goofy is growling at him and mouthing him. So growling can be a communication of play, right? It can be an instigation or initiation of play. It can be a communication of play. It can mean I'm just playing with you. It can be an affectionate sound. Now, that being said, we always want to watch the dog's complete body language. And when we watch that, we'll see things like stiff bodies, lick-lipping, stiff lips, erect tail, staccato, like a really stiff wagging tail, and things like that. That's when we want to see that the dog is in more of a heightened state, like an aggressive state or an alert state. But if the dog is doing puppy poses and growling, it's all about play, and I wouldn't worry about it at that point. I have a 2-year-old Malinois. She will not make friends with other dogs. She will not make friends with one of our other dogs. They have to stay separated. I'm so upset about this. What can be done? Well, if she's 2 years old and you haven't gotten her to make friends yet, chances are it's going to be a tough journey for you. So the reason she is, it's more than likely a female, and there's a dominant struggle between them, and that dominant struggle is something that you can't. Oh, sorry, you signed it Tina, but it says Greg, so maybe you're using your husband's account, Tina. But the reason this is, again, it's a dominance issue, that more than likely there's some kind of a vibe between the two dogs that they can't seem to sort out. So what I would do is I would have the newest one, whoever the newest one is, in a crate and use a lot of structure to have the other dog outside and let them see that each one has their own place in the house, that each one should be allowed to exist. Keeping them separate, for especially at 2 years old, you've got another 12 years to go, God willing, with your dog, and you're not going to be happy about it. It's going to be a big, big problem. So I would infuse a lot of structure, but if it doesn't work out, you might consider rehoming one of the dogs because it's not going to sort itself out on its own. I can promise you that. I was out with my dogs and missed this. Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you, but it's very, very late now. I hope all is well. I'm hoping you can help. I'm having a hierarchy issue within my pack of 3. My youngest female keeps questioning my oldest male's authority. She barks in his face and is always showing her teeth at him. More than likely this is play, but let's keep going. You mentioned this could happen in your multiple dog podcast, and we're going to discuss it further, but you ran out of time. That's very interesting that I ran out of time on that. My oldest is getting older, and I'm assuming these signs of weakness are what is triggering the female. Does Maya or Dwayne do this to Goofy? No. What can I do? What do I do? The middle dog just minds his business, but he's a beagle, so he only really cares about food. Well, first of all, you're not telling me what the age is, but if a young female is in the face of your dog, is growling and showing her teeth, you need to look at the entire body language of the dog, because more than likely, females tend to initiate play and initiate dominance behaviors more. So the male will more than likely accept it. But that being said, you need to be on the side of your older dog, and you might need to grab your female and correct her and tell her, knock it off. But you don't want the dogs to start to think that you have no place in this and that you're allowing them to juggle their hierarchy. Doesn't happen in my house. Does not happen in my house. If any dog shows any kind of an off behavior, it doesn't even have to be aggressive, it just has to be a behavior that I don't want them to do, I'm going to correct it. I'm going to come down on them, and they're going to know that I'm very, very fair, but I'm very decisive, and I decide what happens in my house because it's my home. I control the home, I control the food, I control every single thing, except for Janet. Janet controls me. Why does my Labrador 100% respond perfectly to hand signals, but only 50% listen to verbal commands? That's a very astute assumption here and an analysis which you've done here, which is really good. But I'm going to tell you why. Because dogs learn, first of all, by us luring the behavior. So in other words, if we're luring it down, we're going to take a treat and we're going to do this. More than likely, your hand signal is this, because it emulates the exact way that you lured the dog. So the dog is still associating the lure with the hand signal. That makes it easy for the dog to associate what you want him to do. Now, your verbal cue has no association with this. In other words, you've never done down and done this, which is what you need to start doing. You need to start taking, would you guys be quiet? they're associating playing with me talking, because that's when they get to play a lot. Lie down, both of you. So what you need to do is put a verbal cue in. You need to put the verbal cue and say down, pause, and then do the hand signal. The more often you do that, the verbal signal, pause, and then the lure, or the hand signal, then the dog will associate that at the end of your verbal cue, the hand signal is coming, and he will try to preemptively do the command that you want, which is exactly how you lure the dog when you have the treat and you lure him down, because at the end of the lure, he gets the treat. So you're going to back chain the idea here, and you're going to say the word down, pause, lure, and give him the treat. And it's as simple as that. Sounds complicated, but it's actually quite simple, but it's a very, very good question. Thank you for the question. Also, if you got a question, ask me anything. And as always, be sure to check out my website, robertcabral.com, for the best online dog training resources available anywhere.